halftime, he did what finally everybody wanted to do, that false nine. He went there. There was more chances. I get it. You're throwing everything, caution to the wind. You're being more proactive going forward. But there's a reason why Jesus Ferreira didn't play in the first 3 games, and he was put in a very difficult position.
Yeah, so he's replaced at the half by Gio Reyna. The other subs in the second half, Aronson, Haji Wright, Yedlin, they seem to have a big impact for the United States. Casey, what did you make of us finally seeing Gio Reyna in a significant role here? He got the 45 minutes there in the second half, and really the other changes that Greg Berhalter made and how they may have impacted this match.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, look, Gio, we know the qualities that Gio has, and it was the big question mark is knowing the depth kind of on that wide attacking roles is how does Greg find either the time or the place on the field to get these guys on the pitch as much as we all would like to see them on the pitch, with Aronson as well in that conversation. And you know, it was a surprise that he had played 7 minutes only in the opening 3 matches. So he had the opportunity. I thought we saw what we saw from Gio, the quality to be able to link players, to get past a player at times, put a dangerous ball in the box. But it also was a little bit false because it 2-0 lead on a Dutch side that was already conceding possession to the U.S. It was clear that the U.S. was going to have a lot of ball, particularly in midfield. And obviously the movement was there. You talked about then that we did see more of that false nine. And there was a lot of movement across the whole front. But when you have the quality of center backs that the Dutch have, you need that extra man to actually get in front of one of those center backs to see if you could actually challenge them. I'm going to go back to one of the big question marks before the tournament even started. Should they have brought Pifok? Should they have brought Sibachu? Was he a guy that in a game like this, where you needed another big body to be able to run in front of a bigger defender, a guy that was scoring goals to start the season in the Bundesliga, is he a guy that really should have been able to come off the bench?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about that? The 26-man roster. It feels like you could have brought, whether it was Pifok, whether it was Pepe, you could have brought
Pepe's a big name, right?
You could have brought another forward. And to Casey's point, you know, it's almost like Jesus Ferreira gets a start today by default, right? Sargent isn't available, and Haji Wright has literally just been introduced into this team.
Especially when you look at the players who weren't used. Maybe you thought that you would have more of a chance of using a certain player in an offensive position, a profile player, and I'm talking about a 9. I will go back to Gio Reyna actually coming into the game. I love that Gio Reyna finally came into the game. What I do not like is where Gio Reyna was occupying spaces. He was inserted into this game as the false 9. That wouldn't have been my first choice if I went false 9. It would have been Timothy Weah. And you could see it by Gio's movements and maybe unfamiliarity with the situation. He didn't exactly know how to occupy these center backs, and I get it. In case touched upon it, Ake, Timber, Van Dijk, they're very good center backs, very high-level center backs. But Timothy Weah was busy in the first half. Timothy Weah was busy throughout the game. You put a player like that can stretch, that can come in, that could get on the ball, turn face, and maybe it frees up Gio Reyna elsewhere, whether it's on the wing or coming in centrally.
I think if we go big picture here, fans probably feel pretty good about this tournament overall.
Sure.
But we've had Casey on this show a few times. You talk about exigencia, right? Standards. I think Casey has very high standards for what he expects from this national team. Casey, right now, do you feel frustrated? Was this a missed opportunity? Or are you satisfied with what the U.S. did in this tournament?
I'm actually both. I'm definitely satisfied with what I've seen. I loved the team togetherness, the way they defended through midfield, from the front. We were talking about it on FC, and really that, when you look at the games, there was a couple mistakes that weren't punished, and I'll go back to that free header from Harry Kane in stoppage time. But for the most part, Matt Turner had a pretty quiet 3 games. Now, made some great saves today, which was nice to see, but it was a really good team effort to make sure that they kept their opponents, away from their goal. Now, finding that balance then between being more offensive-minded, Herc, I know you've been talking about it, is then how can you then attack keep yourself with good cover defensively, but then be dangerous in the attacking third. We missed a little bit of that. I think maybe we needed a little bit more from let's say a Christian or maybe a Tim Weah to be able to beat guys, keep possession deeper in, but then get runs. I think it's hard that I would have loved to have seen, a couple more runs from Weston McKennie. Yes, he had the great run against England and probably should have scored where he got in the box and blazed over the top. We saw, I think, another shot today from McKennie where he put the ball over the bar. So I think that was a little bit of a disappointment. And then you're coming up against a Dutch side that was beatable. I mean, there's not many times you're going to come up against, the Netherlands and know that it's a team that you can beat. And that's where I was disappointed with the way this game transpired, the way the U.S. started the game bright, but maybe a little too aggressive, got hit on the counter. But that, you guys were talking about before I came on, the Daily Blend goal before the half changed everything. It changed everything that Greg was probably going to do at halftime, made him have to change formations, change player personnel, and that was the killer. That was the naive moment that really is the disappointment. But big picture, very, very happy. Happy for guys like Tim Ream, who had a fantastic tournament. Happy for that midfield crew. Tyler Adams had a really good tournament. What did we talk about before the game? You needed the core of your star players to show up. They did that, and then you needed some surprises from some other guys. Tim Ream being a great surprise. Played so well. Cameron Carter-Vickers coming in and having a really, really good game against Iran. And then you've talked about Weah. You talked about Pulisic had a good tournament. I think without really, but we know he can give this side more. But overall, super happy.
You could be satisfied with what you saw in the group phase and still disappointed because of what Case just mentioned. It is an opportunity missed, an opportunity lost that you probably will never have back. You probably will never have this type of opportunity versus this type of Netherlands, a Netherlands that looked very beatable in the group phase.
Just generally in the round of 16,
you
don't
round
get
of 16.
very many games that you feel are accessible, and I feel like a lot of people thought this was accessible, but maybe we were overstating that. I mean, we saw a clear gap between the two sides, didn't we, today?
It's not that we were overstating it, because it'd be one thing if it was just Casey saying it, if it was just you saying it, or if I felt that way. But the overwhelming response from everybody, all our colleagues here, all the pundits around us and even Pascal, who's from the Netherlands, this is a very tight game, and Netherlands is very beatable. The U.S. can beat them. The U.S. has quality enough to beat them, but I think that quality was based on the fact that they were so good defensively, and they were so lethal in transition. They picked their moments, and that was not the U.S. men's national team we saw today. They got stretched, their shape was out of whack, and they got hurt by some very good players, and you got to put some respect on that.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.